morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Good night sounds wrong, but yes, it's a greeting for whichever part of the world you're in. And uh, you're hearing us speak today as a part of the what we are calling the Switzerland India Language and Diversity Dialogues, which is basically what the Belong Literature Collective is doing with the support of Swiss Arts Council, Prohelcha, New Delhi, is organizing author interaction series between Swiss authors and Indian authors, where we focus on how each of these cultures and countries has distinctly would I say different but similar at the same time linguistic and ethnic diversity rather, and we will through the next 2 months we will highlight how language and culture and the diversity in language and culture in these two countries intersects with issues of identity such as gender, sexuality, race, etc. And today we are speaking some about queer spaces and intersectionality, and it's a great way to start these conversations because it's also the Pride Month, as we know. Before the session starts, I would just like to introduce our moderator for today, who is Aditi Angiras. So Aditi is a poet and author based out of New Delhi. She's the founder of Bring Back the Poets, a queer collective of poets and performers. Aditi is going to moderate the session today. Thank you so much for doing this, Aditi. And Aditi will also introduce our amazing authors, Max and Shanta. Max from Switzerland and Shanta from India. Aditi, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Lasya, so much for the introduction. And hi, everyone. So, welcome to this session titled Queer Spaces, Intersectionality and Representation. We have Max Lobe and Santa Khurai with us. Hello to the both of you, and really lovely to see how you both are twinning the glasses. And I think that's so I think that's a good place to start off. The parallels and diversity, I guess, last year I was talking about. I'll briefly introduce both of them. We will section off and talk a little bit about identities, borders, and a lot more. And then Santa and Max, if they please, would read a little bit from their work. So that's how the session is going to go. So Max is a Swiss-Cameroonian novelist, short story writer, and poet. He writes about Black homosexuality, migration, post-colonial studies. He's openly gay, and most of his work is in French, but his fifth novel, A Long Way from Douala, was translated in English this year. I just ordered a copy on Amazon. Yes, you can download an ebook or grab yourself a copy because that's the first of the many that he has written, which is available in English now. We will talk more about this book in a bit. Santa Khurai is a Manipuri indigenous Nupi Mambi trans woman. We'll talk a little more about what does that mean, and Santa can help us understand. She's a very passionate writer, trans activist, artist, and a poet. I've had the pleasure of working with Santa before. Some of her work was published in this book, The World That Belongs to Us, which is an anthology of queer poetry from South Asia that I had edited along with Akhil Katia last year. So, let's begin with these introductions as well, the bios, right? And like we were, Santa, Max and I were catching up last week, and we just spoke a little bit about how I find author bios extremely interesting. Those bios become one of the very few places where I feel the writer, themselves have a space to articulate who they want to be seen as and what do they think of themselves. Because once you put something out in a book, it just belongs to the reader. So I find these bios extremely interesting because it sort of gives you the feeling that you have some control over the narrative, your personal narrative in the space. I'd like to ask the both of you, Max and Santa, about your relationship with borders of various kinds. But to begin with, let's talk about geographical borders. Max, your move to and adoption of the Swiss nationality and how that functions within your writing and your identity. And Santa, maybe after Max finishes, you've spoken about your experience as an activist and more from Manipur, and the relationship that has with mainland India and how you feel about it. So let's hear you, Max.
Santa, do you want to start?
No, you can start. This is Max. This is a
um,
freedom space. This is a freedom space, space of freedom. Anybody
okay,
can start.
perfect. So I'm very happy to be here with you. Thank God. And yeah, if you want to answer for the spaces that we where we live and where we have the possibility to blossom. Yeah, I was born in Cameroon in the state in January, so I'm 35 years old. And I grew up there in Cameroon. Like one day, somebody asked me a question: how was it like to grow up in Cameroon as a gay child? And just recently, I was thinking again about that question, and I was saying, how come somebody can ask me how was it to grow up as a gay child in Cameroon? No, I didn't know. I didn't know anything about gay, about homosexuality. It's a long time forward afterward that I knew what was it. But this didn't stop people from insulting me when I was actually 3 years old. People were already saying faggot, all these things that you can imagine, because I was very feminist. And today I've been living in Switzerland for 16, 17 years. I don't know. Time is passing very quickly. I'm a good Geneva boy. Uh, and here I have really the possibility to be who I am. And at the contrary to Santa, I'm not that activist. Activist in the sense you make demonstrations, you strike, But I'm activist in my book. I'm activist in all the papers I write, in all the papers for newspapers, or this is my contribution to that topic. And also because, when you come from Africa and the Black queerness, I do believe you carry a kind of trauma with you, which makes you to step to step behind. You don't want really to go forward, and I prefer to step behind, to walk in my laboratory, to think a lot, and then to write some novels in order to see what are the characteristics of that Black African queerness, and even the little questions that will take us into the shade of homosexuality. Like maybe we are going to talk about that later, like the bear, the hair. I was very young when I was looking at some guys, even in my classroom, like, oh, he's wearing a bear, he's having a bear. When am I going to have it? And yeah, just like stuff that are really interesting for me, and it's all what I do in all my literature. I talk about that.
Yes, Santa. Santa, do we have you with us?
Are you around, Santa?
Yeah, I think some little bit of a network issue.
Okay, I will add something in the meantime.
Yeah, yes.
It's like yeah, I started writing poems also. Um, Normally, many of the writers they start first with poems, and slowly, they become also writers like novelists. But me, very soon, I started with writing novels, short novels, And it's just with the COVID, with the corona situation, that I found myself completely locked in an apartment for 5 weeks. Five 5 weeks, yeah, 5 weeks alone. So all the dirt that I had put under the carpet, I had to take it out. And to take it out means to to go also deep, deep, deep in the waters of your childhood, of all the bad things you have encountered in your life, and to come up not with sentences but really with the idea of what it can be. How is it like to be a black African teenage who knows inside of him that he's different.
Yeah, yeah. I think Santa's joined us, but there's some issue. She's dropped off again. Just wait for her for a second.
Mama Santa, where are you? We are looking for you.
Mm.
Yes.
The internet is not stable here. That's why it just went
Yeah,
off
Oh, okay.
and then come like that. Yeah.
no problem. So Santa, you
Uh,
want to go ahead? Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I wish to. So, am I audible? And then, am I in a proper place? I'm like, is it stable now?
Yeah, it is stable.
Yeah.
We can hear
Okay, it
you.
is stable. Uh,
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah, I think we'll have to get Santa to close a video. It's a little we have bad weather in most of India. So it's been raining and really cloudy, and I think probably because of that, the internet's a little bad today.
While she does maybe the
Yeah.
technical stuff with Lesha, I would just try to read a
Yes.
little excerpt of this book, A Long Way from Douala. It's my first translated book from French to English because people should know I'm francophone. Actually, I was born in the francophone part of Cameroon, but as a good Cameroonian guy, I'm a bilingual guy, so I can struggle with the languages. So this is my first translation, A Long Way from Douala. I will read an excerpt, and I know we're going to talk about it a lot more afterwards. So we have two guys here talking, and it's Jean, and Simon. So Jean is asking to Simon, and then I continue. Don't you believe what you see on Facebook too? But it's not the same, Johnny. On social media, it's the witness talking directly. Look, how come we are here? What's the purpose of our trip? Solely to find Roger? But Roger is not the only one who wants to bother. Can someone explain to us why people are so desperate to go? What are they running away from? Since we left Douala, you've seen with your own eyes how beautiful the country is, how rich. We have everything here, and I mean everything. But even so, people prefer to go, even if they have to die on the way, even if they are going to be treated like animals over there. All they want is to go. Why? Can you tell me? I turn off the TV. We are quiet for some time. Simon gets undressed. I swear he's stark naked in front of me. Our Father who art in heaven, I try to concentrate on saying my prayers and not stir too much at his plantain. Give us this day our daily bread. Daily bread, my ass. This is torture. I'll cross my feet. I must be red all over, from head to toe, for certain. As tomato red as the black guy can be when someone puts such a beautiful plantain and lovely athletic bun in front of his eyes. Oh yes, but Simone probably has no idea. He carries on talking, railing, criticizing our papa president. Good work and criticizing some more. As for me, all I'm aware of is the horrendous throbbing in my chest and especially down there in my trousers. I'm going to burst. I beg for God's forgiveness and help. Thank God. I'm so relieved when Simone goes into the shower and I find myself alone. Oh, Simone.
Nice.
So this is our next of this book, A Long Way from Dwala.
Nice.
Um,
While reading, you mentioned a word which I found very interesting. It's completely new to me. The word boza.
yeah,
Can you speak a little bit about that? What does that really mean?
yeah, I'm waiting for Santa. Bosa is a word coming from Western African countries. And the shout is actually the shout Boza during the day of victory. It's today in nowadays in our world, people are migrating. Migration is really the topic in every country, even in Africa. It's the country, the topic. So me, if I want to travel, for example, from Cameroon to Paris, I would take a plane. I have my Swiss pass, or I will take a business to go to India or somewhere else, and I will do 6 4 8 hours traveling. But both it's when somebody doesn't have the possibility to have a proper visa, and the person starts the journey walking step by step, one country after another, crossing borders. And today we have really slavery in the Maghreb, in countries like Libya. People are enslaved, they are raped, sometimes killed, and then they spend a lot of money to cross the Mediterranean and to go to the other coast, the European coast of the Mediterranean. And once they reach it, like Lampedusa, like Lesbos, and then they shout, Boza, Boza, Boza. So in the excerpt I was reading, we have almost all the topics because the story is about two guys who are traveling from the south to the far north of Cameroon. They are chasing their brother, um, their brother.
Mm.
Okay. And then Simone actually is the brother from another mother. It's like a childhood brother. They grew up together. So he's not a blood brother to John. And so he's traveling with John to find Simone, who has left house trying to bother to Europe. And at a certain point, by the end of the journey, when they are really in the north of Cameroon, um, Simone and John, mostly John, is like, why are we there? What are we doing here? Why are we looking for Woodche? And then you have that long answer of Simone saying, yeah, why are we here? Everybody wants to go. Even people who have been to university, they have great diplomas, they also want to leave. So there is a problem with the country. Everybody wants to leave. But for me, the most important thing among those people that really want to leave is the 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 LGBT people. The LGBT people would really want to leave because they are in a very hostile context. They are in a country where they don't have their rights. They are in a country where they can be victim of mob justice anywhere, everywhere, at any time. So it's okay if people will tell you that homosexuality in Cameroon, you're very free to live as you want. Maybe, yeah, possible. But when the law is actually against you, you can live your life as you want, but but
Santa, I don't know. I think we've lost
Yeah, yeah.
Max for a
Mm,
bit. Hi,
yeah.
Santa.
I'm here
Okay.
again.
It's
It's
like I'm
very
having two
disturbing.
parallel. I'm having
Yeah,
two
today
parallel
today it's very
conversations.
disturbing. It's very boring. Yeah, the internet is very bad. No.
But your voice is really clear now. I think it's pretty
Okay.
clear. Yeah, we'll wait for Max to join in and I'll talk a little more about what he was telling us about the phrase "boza" about leaving Cameroon and moving
Mm,
to Europe, and how a lot of people from the community actually do that to find a safer space. But
mm.
let's go back to what you were telling us about living in Manipur and navigating everyday life out there.
Yeah, like I was started talking about like how Northeast people's queer
Mm,
people from the Northeast, uh, represent in the larger picture of queer culture in India, and then
mm,
I was also trying to talk about the access to resources, queer resources, and then I
mm,
was also trying to talk about like you know how queer racism took place. I mean, like you know
mm.
when we talk about the racism, we need to also relate it with different aspects that an individual of the community or the community live in.
Yeah.
So like as a writer, the thing which I found challenging is like it's very difficult for the Northeast peoples to present our literature in the limelight and also in the domestic platform because the language is very difficult. Why? Because we also in our local language we have certain things to express our literature or like metaphor. But actually, when it's going to translate in Hindi, either in English or Hindi, we often find the laws of the literature value of the expression. So this is one challenge, and also like when we talk about the literature in general, the literature that's coming from the Northeast is very difficult to find a good position and space in the market because literacy is something at the end of the day, the writer needs resources. But actually,
Yeah.
on top of this, we are the queer peoples. Queer peoples, we all know that we are underprivileged and then we are completely excluded from the system. So finding as a queer writer, finding publisher, finding a good space to sell my books, and then finding a good publishing house to publish my book is a very big challenge as of now. Um,
So,
yeah.
so Santa, I have two questions. I mean, from what you were saying right now, one is that writing in the local language for an audience who can read it, for young adults and children and teenagers who want to read you and not feel alone. And at the same time, you also write in English, which means that you're writing to other people, right? So they can understand you and your experiences from living as an Upimami in Manipur. And the second question was this question of uh, representation, which I personally feel and talk about quite a lot. Is that, do you also feel that publishers and organizations and institutions reach out to you to to do their little bit So you end up representing a lot more than you would want to represent.
Pardon, Aditi, the last question.
So, so what I meant was that do you also feel that you become or you feel like a token representation from all of Northeast, because there are very few writers and activists who are writing about this issue from that area, and the entire burden of representing all of Northeast as a queer writer rests on you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a burden to me. We need to bring out a lot of queer writers. We need to encourage writer. At the same time, we also need to we also need to look upon the scenario, the queer writer scenario in India, because this is a question about majority and minority. Because as this is the one things which I always stress upon, like majority and minority. The Northeast peoples are, belongs to a very neglected state, and also our representation or our leaders are very few when compared with the, queer peoples from the mainland India. So this is a very big challenge. And then I alone representing all the time, I feel very burdened, because I am not, a lone person is not sufficient to represent the entire Northeast. Northeast, on the other hand, is a very big reason. It's a diverse culture, diverse language, diverse community, and then diverse ethnic identity. So these are the challenges, and I think we need to bring out more peoples, more queer writers, and at the same time, the publishing house also need to reach out to the peoples, writers from the Northeast, so then they can also have the community to, to start writing, or those who have already writing, they can continue their writing. Because at the end of the day, people need something to for their acknowledgement, for the recognition of their writings. And writing is not about recognition only. Writing is something which you are telling a story. You are telling a story to other peoples. For example, in Manipur, when we write in Manipuri, there are certain language which is not found in English dictionary. Okay. So that's also a big challenge. And then when we are trying to translate those local language in English, then we have to explain in a very long sentence. So that
Max is back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't seem to see him. I think he's just online.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Santa, go on.
Yeah, so language is a very big problem. And then when we talk about the representation from the Northeast, and the, how people always, stand up for their identity, Northeast identity. And some people says that, why you people are always asking for your identity? This is very important. Raising our identity, speaking up for about our identity, this is very important. This is not for the Northeast. People from different community, people from different part of the country are also raising for their identity. For example, we can just take very easy example. Any political leader that's completely based on local, they have taken the name of their local identity. For example, like a DMK from Tamil Nadu, and then, so many things, too many things we have seen. Okay, we have heard. So it is.
Actually, I had a question for Santa. Like you said, it's a matter of a minority and a linguistic minority. I'm sorry, but really, I will ask a question to somebody who doesn't know anything. But in which language do you write exactly, and how many people can read you in that language?
Pardon, Max.
In which language do you write, and how many people how many people can read you in that language?
Oh, I write both in English and Manipuri. Manipuri is the local language which can be read by the Manipuris only, but English is
And
the
how many
international
are there?
language. I can't tell you the exact population, but actually it's lakhs and lakhs of people.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Santa, would you also like to go ahead and read something, one of your works, for us?
Okay.
Yeah.
Today I'll be reciting Nupi Manbi Thabal, the second women, because this is a kind of like pride. This is a kind of pride celebration for Manipuri unconventional gender peoples. So this happens in the month of March and continue till April during a festival called Yaosang. And like all the peoples, they will be wearing female clothing. Those like those transgender women, and not only transgender women, but actually those people who are living as a man but actually having feminine subjectivity and expression, they also wear female clothing in this celebration. They will come in like we will be organizing this event in the evening, and then people's transgender peoples or queer peoples, in short, queer peoples from different identity will come and then wearing their, preferred dress, clothing, then they will join and dance there. So it's called Thabal Chongpa. So I have taken out this poem from there. This is Nupi Manbi Thabal. Breast fitted, some with some soft spawns, some with water-filled condom. Arc eyebrow, akin to that of a bow, fine shaped lips, murky eyelids, cheek pink with rose, thick false eyelashes, which, when closed, seem like black bees seated on budding lotuses. As in our words, apomba thambalda amuba koimuna tuongba. Forming hordes, they plunged into the battle, the second women. In their mind, it's thought, I am the most beautiful of the lot, gorgeous, striking, invincible, idolized by all. In every corner of the battlefield, the down, the spirit of courage, the stance of the flute mingling with the red colors of their lipsticks, an amorous odor coursing through their bands of envy, of longing, of passion. Music, drum, saxophone, lights, greeting their arrival. Spectators throng at the battlefield, enjoy, applauded, and judged the warrior. How fortunate the second woman. So many spectators did not gather in the battle of the sexes in your world. With its drumbeat, a pack of the armor flute. In a moment, the flute flooded through the sensitive nerves, pursuing them to the conviction of present. No history, no dreams, but only the now. Life began at evening and ended in dawn. Music began and commenced a scuffle. Every trove, one warrior and 4 to 5 foes. Music stopped within the limited time, but the wrestling carried on till the dawn. Somewhere in the corner, the war over, homeward bound them, the second women, on the way back to their homestead in the silence of the night, laughing with ecstasy. These goddesses of the dark, one to another, retold the stories of the battle. Women with worn leaf, the red color smeared, one with the lashes missing on an eye, another one with her shapeless breast. Yet, in silence, were the defeated in that battle. The second women discern it. The eastern horizon about to light up, the exhausted bodies embrace rest. The moment they close their eyes, the question rang constantly in their mind. Who are we? What is the purpose of our lives? Are we in the real world? Atrocious questions trap them in their blood-curdling lives. Tear falls down silently in agony. Each woman's eyes brim over, yet none told the others. The tears flush away the stories of that battle. Snowy and dozing, they fell asleep, waiting for the next battle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Santa, for reading that. That was, I think I have heard that once before, but this time it was, there were so many different layers. Yeah. I, I think we speak about this at other forums as well, about how the vocabulary, for talking about gender and sexuality is very limited to whatever we have from
mm,
Western academia, from queer theory. So
mm,
uses of words like queer or just LGBT, and
mm,
other words which keep getting added to this list. But
mm,
for
mm,
both of you, for Max as well as for you, you're
mm,
from where you come from, the linguistic diversity of what other words and identities are available to
mm,
explore particular experiences of people. Like you've written about Nupi Mambi, and I was reading in some of your interviews how there are many other terms. I believe there are different terms for what now gets recognized as
mm,
men who like to dress up as women or drag, and there
mm,
are different smaller
mm,
subcultures within the larger Manipuri, so to say, queer
mm,
culture. And
mm.
do you feel that is something, as a writer and as an activist, I know you invest some time in learning ancient scriptures and going and
Mm,
reading older text. How do
mm.
you feel the younger generations need to be able to learn from it or read about it and explore it?
Yeah, it is very important. It is very important to relook in our history. In our history, we need to understand how the concept and the belief of gender exist in the erstwhile Manipuri society. Because this is very important. Because like time change, there is globalization, new terminology comes in, and then people have a lot of confusion. Those those people, those unconventional gender people who were once existed in the actual Manipuri society, they might be, represent themselves or express their gender identity in a different way. But actually, in the modern Manipuri, people have different ways of expressing their gender identity. So these local people, when they see this new, expression of gender identity or sexuality identity, then people claims that we are a recent phenomenon, which is a kind of influence coming from the globalization. But actually, we need to prove, yeah, we need to, we need to, yeah, we need to put a very strong evidence. We need to prove a very strong evidence to the peoples that this is a very much a part and parcel of our culture, part and parcel of our history and society. Okay, because until and unless we are able to bring out just narratives, historical narratives from our local context, then we will be fail to articulate our identity. We will be fail to or assert for our existence. Okay, so we need to advocate peoples, we need to make aware the peoples that this is not something coming new, this is not an influence coming from the west or from India, but actually this is a very much rooted in our history. So in order to prove that, I have I have done a research on unconventional gender peoples in Manipur, how they were employed in the palace, and they were called faida. This community were called faida. So like that was the main idea why that pushed me to do that research, and it was really really difficult to find a very what to say a very good information or very reliable or finite primary literature. But I did it. I collect a lot of evidences from peoples. I read primary a few available primary literature. The most the most surprising for me while doing that research is like faida, the subject faida is
Mm.
still studying in Manipur University. Okay,
Mm.
in Manipur University, faida is study. This is a curriculum in Manipuri literature. Okay, so in that book, they were talking about the social function of faida only. They did not, and then those students, those academics, they never try to, explore faida's gender and sexuality identity. Okay, this is thing that these are the peoples who were once employed in Kangla. They were like women, but actually they are more focused on the social function, their position. Those academics never, did not, did not bring out, did not try to do more deeper explore or deeper research on Faida sexuality identity. And then my book was the first book that, they try to bring out and then, relook Faida or from different perspective, from queer perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Max, about your work as well. I was just thinking that the book that you were reading from, um, this one is located in Cameroon. You have, from what I read on the internet, in some of your interviews, you've taken inspiration from local, from African folklore and literature. Um, and but a lot of your other work is in Geneva. You've written about the migrant experience in Geneva, living as a man in Geneva. How are you navigating that bit, in the sense that you're also now, your this book was about Cameroon, about living as a, experiences of a teenager as a queer man and discovering sexuality. What is it that you're bringing from that
That is a
African
very
experience?
complex question, actually. That's a very complex question. It's all about identity, actually. Yeah. Am I Cameroonian writing for Cameroonians? Am I Cameroonian writing for Western people? I will try to go to the point to make it short now. Um, uh, when I write, I think about African people. I think about the people I grew up with. I think about my mother. So not just the one who gave that to me, but my mothers, my aunties, the neighbor, and all the neighborhoods where I grew up in Douala. But actually, your question is so interesting because I first came in Switzerland, when I came here, it was in year 2000. No one called me home. People are calling me. Um, yeah, I was saying I came here in Switzerland in 2004, and I spent like 10 years without coming back home, you know. Maybe once I went back for the funeral of my father, but that one we're going to talk about that next time. So I spent 10 years in Switzerland, in Western countries, traveling all around, discovering a new meaning of being free, and in that freedom, I put the sexual freedom, the sexual identity, the fact of being who you are, to be free, to be exactly who you are. And slowly, with time passing on, I started traveling back to Africa, not just to Cameroon. I started traveling back to Africa for work, to give workshops about literature, not to advocate people, not to empower them in the LGBT question. Actually, I was traveling to Africa. So it's like I was giving creative writing classes, conferences, and also to tell them about my path, about what I did, you know. And so today, that I'm really sick here in Switzerland. I'm really free and I have my space to think. I mostly think about people in Africa. That's why my books take place more and more in Africa and less in Europe. On that topic of identity, of LGBT, transgender, and all this, I think that the the speech, the discussion is a way too far here. Like it's a TGV. It's a really fast trend of questioning how is it like with transgender? What are the medical support? Is the insurance going to give you back this or that for this operation or that operation? You see, but the in the continent I come from, the question is like, are they going? Should we leave them living? Should we leave them alive, or we should just kill them? So I think there is a lot to do there. There is a lot to say. There is a lot to claim and to ask for. But as I know my people, I cannot just go there and say, okay, we are going to make a fight, we are going to vindicate our rights now, now, now. No. I decided to go slowly, even though I know that when I talk like this one, they are surely going to be the last one to beat me, you
Mm.
know? And this is that's why I was saying your question is very interesting. I'm like multicultural. I have one leg here, one leg there. My head is there, you know. So for me, I know they are going to be the last one to be that. Also because the country doesn't do anything for literature. They consider art is just music and dancing, which is yeah, true. Dancing and playing music is art, but also reading and writing is art. And so me, when I write, I think about African people, even though I know Western people are going to be the first one to read me. They are going to be the first one. But there is no problem. We are going to do things step by step, slowly, slowly. We are not at the level of India concerning those topics. We are not definitely at the level of Switzerland concerning those topics. And I will finish with saying there was a young guy, very young guy in Cameroon called Shakiro. And Shakiro, you can feel, and even he was used to say that I'm, uh, um, I'm a man, I'm a woman in the body of a man. And very clever guy. And then at a certain point, he decided to be an influencer on social media. And he had also like sex tapes, you know, when you are a star. And recently, he's been jailed. And people say he's been jailed because he tried to embezzle or to steal the money from a man. But I don't think so. I think it's really because he's not just gay. Because, you know, transgender or being bottom or being effeminate, this is gay. This is homosexuality for them. If you're a man, if you're a papa, having four children, you get married with a woman, you have a step family, everybody respects you, you're a director, you're very masculine, and behind you go with a very firm guy who is going to be mobbed up, who is going to be bit, beaten up by people, but you are the one to go behind to see him, you know, and people are not going to blame you. People are going to blame him because he is bottom. And this is the text
Mm.
I'm writing in English for my blog. It's like I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But you masculine guy, you're so bottom. You're so bottom, and even your wife wants to finger you, and you say you're straight. Ask your wife to finger you and to carrot you and to cucumber you so that you're going to be real gay. I don't know why they can't think about homosexuality as a sexual identity. They just think about that as sexuality. They just see this. They just see, you know, chop, chop, hop, 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 hop. They cannot think. They cannot think sexuality as identity because I can be gay and priest. I can be gay and virgin. I can be gay and I don't like sex. But it's really an identity. An identity like being black, like being, I don't know, basta, like the monetary, like in China, like it's an identity, like a woman, like a man. It's not something mechanical. It's not just something that has to do with academic.
Yeah. I think we've started getting some comments and questions on our Facebook Live. Santa, this one's for you. We have a comment from Shambhavi Saxena, who is, appreciating and thanking the beautiful poem that you read for us. And, there's another comment, which is if the research that you were talking about is accessible and available anywhere. I wanted to comment that we will try to share a link in the comments with you if you're interested. And you can read a little more about Santa and Santa's work there. There's a question from Padmavati on Facebook, and it's to the both of you. The question they're asking is, can you give us examples of how certain crucial words and expressions about identity get lost in language translations? So from, say, French to English and from Manipuri to English, in both the cases. So any of you would like to go first?
So, for example, in my book, The Yellow Sparrow, there is a section, there is an incident where I was trying to, no, it was not a trial, but actually I was eating a dish, okay, a curry. I was eating a curry. So the name of that curry is Chagempomba, okay. So Chagempomba is the main ingredient to make Chagempomba is the fermented soybean. Okay. So you have to put a lot of herbs, and the preparation is it's very different. And the word itself is not found in the, in the English dictionary. So this is very much a part of our culture. This is my immediate environment. Likewise, there are also certain languages which we cannot express in English. Okay. So like, for example, the very easy example is the game pomba. The game pomba, you cannot find this the game pomba either in English or in Hindi. Okay. So what my translator did was like, she was struggling to find an appropriate word, and then I had, suggested her not to give the literal translation. Okay. I had suggested her to explain it, how the preparation take place, and then how you are going to put what kind of herbs, and then how many all those things. It's like it's like teaching a person how to cook a local food. Okay. So that difficulties is there. And
Step by step.
yeah, and even in the house also, in the structure of the house, in the structure of the house premises, we have a, like a separate space which is built to keep certain things, stuffs, and then to, to stock food, and it is called sangoi. Okay. Then sangoi is not found in English. So basically this is located in the south of every house. Okay. So Sangoi was not able to translate. It was not found in English dictionary. Then we had to explain it. I gave her the glossary in Manipuri, and then she explained that Manipuri in English. Okay. And then now giving all those, like a glossary as the and not is also not a good, like it's not a good thing to put in the book. Okay. Because the end not providing end not takes time. People lost the interest of continue reading that book. So you have to put that translation, not actual translation, but you have to put that context inside that, like inside that story. Okay. Inside the, like while you are reading, then you have to put that. So it takes a lot of time and it's very difficult. Some publisher were also have issues with this. Okay. So some publisher wanted to give a, a very a little bit closer translation in English. And my thing is like, I don't want to lose that the value of that literature. So I have suggested my translator to explain it in the context.
I think, yeah, a lot of these rich experiences, and what really makes the story what it is. I think translation can be useful as well. It can be very helpful because it lets your experience reach out to a wider audience, and without having heard your poem, I wouldn't know so much. And after hearing it, I went back again and again to your research, to your interviews, to really learn and unlearn so many things. And Max, what do you
I wanted to add something, a very few lines in terms of queer peoples, queer identity, queer naming culture. Also, this Nupi Manbi are those individual male assigned at birth, but having the feminine subjectivity and expression. Okay. So likewise, in Manipur culture, we had stories of relationship between men and men, women and women, and they are called ita and itao. Okay. So this is a very rich culture in Manipur. We cannot say whether the relationship involves sexual or it could be platonic relationship. It could be anything else. But actually, these two bondings is very strong. Okay. And then
Santa, can I ask you a question, please? It's like you say it's very difficult to translate some words. Why is it difficult to translate some words? Is this because the practice or that reality doesn't exist in English, or it's because is it because that reality that you have in India doesn't exist in English? So, for example, if I don't know, if you write, for example, about beautiful proudness and peaceful, and maybe you have a specific word in monetary, and why is it so difficult to find the translation in English? Is that because it doesn't really exist in English that you have to explain that word?
It's not found in English. It's not found in English, meaning like this culture is not practiced by English people. So if these English people do not practice, then how can they write that in their dictionary? So that's the very, this really reflects the diversity in human culture, human identity, and human society. And the world failed to recognize it. We are still following the colonial hanging over. First of all, if we wanted to assert for our rights, for our freedom to identity, expression, sexuality, even the sexuality, we have to first decolonize ourselves. Decolonization is very important at the time because we are still, we always talk about colonialization, pre-colonial, post-colonial, but what we are doing right now, we are still following the colonial, thing. So for me, I wanted to decolonize myself through my literature, through my articulation in activism, because this doesn't mean that I'm very xenophobic, or this doesn't mean that I'm a person having very narrow divisive idea, but actually in reality I'm very inclusive person. But at the same time, I also believe that if we wanted to make stronger bondings within the queer peoples, then we have to recognize, we have to acknowledge the existence of other diverse community in every nook and corner of the world.
It's wonderful, all those. Maybe one thing I would like to know before leaving, because feeling a little bit, one thing I would like to know is like, how do you say in the Monipuri, how do you say transgender woman?
Nupi Manbi. Nupi Manbi.
Muti Manbi.
No, Nupi.
It's Nupi.
Okay. Okay. Muti Manbi.
Manbi.
Mandi. Perfect.
Mandi, Mandi meaning dislike. Mandi meaning dislike. Manbi meaning like, alike. Mm.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I will text you behind the scenes to have the exact way of writing. Yeah, multi-man, mind you.
I I will email you. I will email you,
Yeah.
and yeah, I can also share you the link of my book. Okay, so that you can go through it.
Exactly, definitely. I would definitely like to order it and to read and really, really, definitely.
Mm.
Max, before we log off, we just have one more comment from one of our listeners, which is in French, is the vocabulary around LGBT any different from what we have in English? Are there any specific words for identities?
In Cameroon, yes. In Cameroon, we had a
Yeah.
very specific terms. For example, if you want to say a girl, you will say Tele, Tele,
Mm.
the so. In Tele, the so, but it means bottom gay.
Mm.
It
Okay.
means bottom gay. As I was saying, for the top, they can be concrete, they can be still and aside. That's why many guys want to be so masculine because they don't want anything to be visible and they don't want to call each other. And for lesbians, we say kuje. And once again, kuje is a woman that looks like a man, like really,
Hmm.
what we call in French camioners. So once again, those people in my native country, and I think even here, there are too many people that still can't imagine all the things we're talking about, like an identity, like what is really happening inside of me. They, they don't see what they say, actually. This is another article I posted recently on my blog. Like when you say to somebody faggot, when you say to somebody negro, what do you see? And
Hmm.
I'm sure that a lot of them they don't see beyond or beyond, behind, no, beyond the word. They just say it like this because
Hmm.
it's a word that people are used to say to a specific kind of people because the black guy going to say Negro, but they don't know anything. So me, before I felt very offended by that, but now I feel very relaxed with all those words because I know the linguistics, I know the history, I know the sociology. I'm a well-educated guy, and I work with words. So if somebody tells me faggot, I say, yeah, I'm a massive faggot Negro. And I know exactly what it means and I like it. And I feel like very not proud, not proud because for me, there's nothing to be proud of being gay. I was born that way. I'm very proud of the book that I write. I'm very proud of when I clean my apartment, I'm very proud of what I do. But what was given to me, I'm never going to consider it a curse. I will always consider it a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Max, and thank you so much, Santa, for
Mm.
bringing all of these conversation. And I think it's really important that I mean, while the rest of the world and everybody else on Facebook and Instagram is celebrating Pride Month,
Mm.
to be able to bring
Um,
this richness of experience. And I'm
mm.
so grateful to be able to read writers like you who bring so
Mm.
much more into these conversations.
Mm.
And I think we'll post a little bit about your books and your
Mm.
work that people might want to read up. And if they want to reach out to you, they can probably follow the both of you on Instagram as well. So
And I'm
we
waiting
can
for you
share all of
people
that.
in Switzerland. I'm waiting for you people in Switzerland to just start all this. Maybe we can do a lot more. I think when this situation, when this pandemic situation, or when I say pandemic situation, I really know what I
Yes.
mean. Uh,
Mm.
so I can say that there is nothing. Yeah, I'm locked down. I'm in quarantine because of something.
Mm.
Other things to cope with.
Before logged out, Max,
Yes.
listen. Aditi,
Yeah.
listen. Before logged out, with due permission from both of you and from the belongs, I have a request. I wanted to place a request from my end.
Yes.
Right now, I'm doing a crowdfunding to create sustainable employment for transgender people in Manipur, and it's going very tough this time. So I'm
Yeah.
requesting if people can help me to amplify and able to contribute, then I wanted to share the link over here, if you're giving me the permission only.
Of course, Santa. Please share the link with us.
And definitely when you send me the link of the book and the Mutimangi, you can send me also the link of the crowdfunding.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, please help. Only 5 days left. To officially close the crowdfunding.
No, we will try to promote it. We'll share it
Please,
with our
Aditi.
viewers on Facebook as well. You've been doing some amazing work, and I've been following the crowdfunding and relief work that you've been doing since the beginning of last year. And more power to you, and we'll try to promote it.
Okay, please help. Please help.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Max. Thank you, Max. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.